What's going on YouTube? This is your boy Mr. Micro Mike, and today I'm going to talk about the variables and the analysis and takeaways that I seen from last night's game against the Patriots. Now, before I jump into the video, if you have not subscribed, please do so. Hit that bell so you can get all the notifications that when I drop a video and or go live. And of course, leave a comment and tell me what you thought about last night's game and the takeaways that you saw from the game. Now, right off the bat, what I noticed was we have some issues when it comes to the quarterback position, not named Matthew Stafford. Now, Savage was out for a little bit due to he got injured fairly early in the game. But what I did notice is he did throw a good pass to Brandon Powell. However, I did notice that he held onto the ball a little bit longer than I would like him to do so. Now, again, he's a second-string quarterback, and you're not expecting an individual to do fantastic, but I felt like he underperformed in my opinion, and it's definitely worrisome. Now, when it comes to fails, that is an absolute trash. He is not a good quarterback at all. I expect him to get cut, and they can pick somebody else up in free agency. Anyone works for me. Fails is not an NFL quarterback, and it really showed last night. And it shows that it is so important to have a quarterback that can actually move the ball and actually pass the ball. Now, he had issues all over the field, and of course, it didn't help with the offensive line, and I'll get into that in a little bit, but he definitely underperformed to any expectations when it comes to an NFL quarterback, and hopefully they decide to move on from him, and we can get somebody else in here to compete, because there's absolutely no reason to keep him on this roster any longer. He is not a quarterback to be on for the Detroit Lions. Now, one of the next variables and something that I took away from the game is we have some offensive line issues. Now, again, when it comes to the first string offensive line with Savage, it was hard to tell how they did. I think they did okay. Again, Savage held on to the ball. If you look at the film, he really held on to the ball a little bit too long. But when it comes to the guard position and everything else on the first offensive line group, it's really a mixed bag, and it's hard to tell. I think they did okay, but again, they weren't on the field enough and long enough to really evaluate them. So, again, I think when it comes to the first string, it's still a wait and see, and that's fine. And what I did notice, though, with the second string is Joe Dahl did actually fairly well last night. I think he stood out as a guard who probably played the best when it comes to the second string offensive line. Joe Dahl actually made good push on the defensive line. He pushed him back, and he held his own in pass protection. Now, when it comes to the rest of the people, Ibushi, he is flat out not good. He had a very bad game last night, and to me, he's not going to make the roster. And the biggest downfall for me and the biggest takeaway that I took is the guy who I thought was going to take the next step was Terrell Crosby, and he had a really bad game. Now, last year he played well in the guard position, so maybe he has issue playing on the left and the right side, and maybe they will focus him at the guard position. But for right now, what I seen last night, he played really poor. And I'm glad it happened in a preseason game and our regular season game, because we cannot have this type of offensive play in the regular season. These guys, these second and third stringer offensive linemen, they need to be able to be ready to start if need be. If there is an injury or a player has to be out of the lineup for a couple of plays for the first string offensive line, we need to have quality backups to protect Matthew Stafford. And if our quarterback goes down because of poor line, it's over. We seen what happened last night when you don't have Matthew Stafford on the field, and it was a disaster. Now, another takeaway that I took was Ty Johnson is the real deal. I am so happy I got to see this man run. This is what I've been wanting to see. I want to see Ty Johnson's speed, and not just his speed, but his pocket awareness, his ability to find the hole, and his balance. And they all seemed legit. He has the speed. He is patient. He hit the hole right, and he has wiggle. So what I seen from him last night is, in my opinion, he's making the roster. He's the real deal. As long as he stays healthy, he will be a weapon for the Lions, and he will be a good replacement for Theo Riddick, and he'll be used this season. I can see him doing jet sweeps and other type of formations, also in the running back position, just going up the middle and hitting the sides and stuff. So I'm really excited what I've seen with Ty Johnson, and that is great news. When it comes to the other running backs, it was, again, I think C.J. Anderson only played 2 times, so there's no point in reviewing that. We know what we got with Zach Zenner. He's been the same since his whole time with the Lions. He got a little nicked up last night's game. Apparently, it's not a big deal from what I've heard, and it was more precautionary, and it gave more time for Ty Johnson. And Thompson as well. I didn't see a whole lot from him. I felt like he did good, though, with the amount of time he was in. And it's also hard to evaluate him and Ty Johnson completely, because that offensive line they played with was really bad. That second and third string offensive line, there was no chemistry and no push, and it's really hard to review running backs when you have that type of line. Now, another takeaway that I really noticed that's actually pretty good, well, it's bad and good, was Curse went down and broke his leg. Now, that sucks for him, and I feel bad for the guy. I mean, literally, it's the first preseason game. I wish him to heal up and get better. But with that, Brandon Powell really showed this game last night. Now, he was open. He was very fast. He was quick. He was catching everything. I think Brandon Powell, with his ability plus Curse going down, pretty much guarantees him that he makes a roster spot. And I'm excited. I'm excited for the young man, because he flashed last season at the end of the season, and he picked up where he left off, and he looked really good. I'm very proud of the guy, and hopefully it continues and keeps going on. Another takeaway that I had is injuries. Again, like I said, Curse went down with an injury and a broken leg. I think there was 5 other players, including Zach Zenner, who went down. Hopefully, again, for the other players, it's not that big of a deal, and they can go ahead and heal up and move on to the next preseason game and move forward with the regular season. Now, another takeaway that I took back when it comes to some of the rookies. Now, we'll start with T.J. Hawkinson. I didn't see him on the field, so I can't evaluate him. We'll jump to Tavai. I felt like he played very well. He's very fast. He's going to make a rookie mistake here and there. He made one mistake in the game where he went a little bit high and he got dominated. However, he learned from that really quick, and he was all the way in, man. He was doing a great job. Very fast, very keen to where the ball's at, and the future is very bright for Tavai, and I'm really excited to see him. When it comes to Harris, I didn't see a whole lot from him, just a little bit here and there. A mixed review. He made a couple good plays, and then there's a couple plays that he's a rookie. I mean, what do you expect? Especially where we got him in the draft. Now, when it comes to Amani, it's the same thing with me. He got beat a couple times, but what I noticed with him, and what's really good with these young rookies, is his speed was there, and he stayed with the receiver. He still got to turn his head. He still got to do these fundamental things that it comes to the secondary and cornerback position that you can't leave on the field when you're in the NFL. If you don't turn your head around, they're going to throw that flag, and you're going to get beat. And that's fine. He's a rookie. He's going to make these mistakes, and I think once the game slows down for him, you'll see the progress where he really starts pushing out a better product on the field, just like Darius Slay when he was a rookie. He made a lot of mistakes, and what's good with Amani is we don't need him on the field immediately. When it comes to, again, Ty Johnson, I just told you he flat out looked fantastic. When it comes to Nada, I didn't see a whole lot from him in the game. I did see him in person again in the scrimmage, but I can't grade him last night. He was out there a couple plays, but not a whole lot to really judge. And same with the rookie wide receivers as well. That offensive line was so bad, and Fales was so bad. I can't really evaluate them. So I'm going to put a question mark, and we'll just wait for the next game and week 3 of the preseason when Matthew Stafford's out there and it has the ability to actually get the ball out of his hands and to an individual at the wide receiver core. So I'm not going to evaluate the rest of the rookies because, again, you all seen the game and you've seen how poor the quarterback play was, and we gotta wait and see when it comes to the rest of the evaluations. When it comes to that defensive line, we had none of our starters was in the lineup, so even without the starters, I felt like they did fairly okay when it comes stopping the run. And again, they didn't have their starters in there, so the pressure is not as keen to what you want it to be. But again, the defense was on the field a lot more than the offense because our offense just could not do anything with the quarterback situation and the poor offensive line play. With that said, folks, hey, it's week 1 of the preseason, and we now get to look forward to week 2, and we can hopefully see a lot more progress than what we did last night and move forward and continue to get better for the regular season. With that said, folks, again, make sure that you subscribe and you hit the bell so we can continue to give you that positive, that news, that Detroit Lions information that you want, and give you a breakdown of what myself and the rest of Detroit Sports Alliance wants to bring out. So with that said, folks, adios.